When you think of mainstream media, for example, CNBC, you think of news, politics, business, stocks, etc. But yesterday, CNBC posted this article. Silver set for a terrific year and could outperform gold to hit a 10-year high. See, silver has hit mainstream media to the furthest degree, further validating its importance as well. But what's really interesting is the fact that they are openly admitting silver has more potential than gold. So let's dive into this article posted by CNBC and hear their explanation on why silver will have a terrific year and could outperform gold to hit 10-year highs.
Connection established.
Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to get silver news on a daily basis straight to your YouTube feed, then you've come to the right place. Make sure you click subscribe and also click the bell so you never miss an upload. Let's talk about this article posted by CNBC. I hope you stick through this video because at the end I'm going to share my 2 cents beyond just what their points are. But I am curious to see where they're coming from since this is on a much bigger stage than just some random source that posts about silver on a daily or weekly basis. So let's see what they have to say. Global silver demand is forecast to reach 1.2 billion ounces in 2024. Which would mark the second highest level on record, the Silver Institute said in a recent report, which I also covered that report as well. And I quote, "We think silver will have a terrific year, especially in terms of demand," the executive director of the Silver Institute said. Now, here's an interesting point. Gold and silver both have value, but most times, especially when you hear an outside source or someone that usually posts about stock markets, they look at gold and silver from the same angle, from the monetary side of things, the micro, not the macro. So it is interesting that the silver shortage is now hitting mainstream media as well. If you have been a long-time viewer of my channel, you remember years ago when the silver shortage was a myth. This was something that people would say isn't even real. But the numbers never lied. They just didn't do their homework, or if they did, they didn't get the answers correctly. Regardless, now we're in a day and age where the silver shortage is blatantly obvious, and I think it's going to start reflecting in the price, especially since silver is needed for all of these industrial applications. So this could be a banner year for silver, with prices potentially hitting a decade high. This is another point I want to stop on. Decade high, what do they mean by that? In 2011, silver was $50, and ever since then, the closest we've got to $50 was $30. So they're saying that silver should break above the psychological $30 level. What do I mean by the psychological level? Well, it's just like if you go to Walmart, they're going to price something $19.99 instead of $20. That 1 penny makes a difference because you're looking at the number 19 instead of 20. Same thing works with silver for both ways. Looking at $30 looks a lot higher than if it's $29, and that psychological level, once it breaks above that, will catch more news outlets will talk about it, it will start gaining traction, and then investors will start also piling in, just like what happened in February 2021 with the Wall Street silver movement. But to an even bigger degree if it breaks above 30, because there is a huge resistance level there. And if we're talking about climbing towards $50, then we could be talking about some major price shifts, especially if the price stabilizes on the way there instead of skyrockets all the way up. So global silver demand is forecast to reach 1.2 billion ounces in 2024, which would mark the second highest level on record. That's very important. Second highest on record. And this is back-to-back years, record-breaking levels, with record-breaking supply deficits as well. Stronger industrial offtake is a principal catalyst for rising global demand for the white metal, and the sector should hit a new annual high this year, said the Silver Institute, a nonprofit international association comprising various members across the silver industry. Silver is used primarily for industrial purposes and commonly incorporated in the manufacturing of automobiles, solar panels, jewelry, and electronics. Now, just in case you're someone who isn't that educated or up to speed on the values that silver has to offer. Silver is the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity, electricity, and light sensitivity. It comes here from asteroids, meteors, and comets. It's not made on Earth, and there's only so much of it. There's actually a lot less silver than people think, and our silver reserves that we've dug out is dwindling. Even so much so that our military, the U.S. Defense Department, had to raid our silver stockpiles. So much so that we are trying to figure out ways to fix this problem by ramping up recycling and finding ways to somehow replace silver with other metals, which isn't possible. Copper is a close second in terms of electrical conductivity, but the quality wouldn't even be worth it. It would be a more costly or cost efficient to just stick with silver. And even on a worse scale, new inventions like these AI chips and these other, I forget what component it is for EVs or BEVs, is going to require even more silver, which is already, the EV sector already has a massive amount of silver going into it on an annual supply, and that's not even incorporating solar panels or the military sector. And now that we're in 5 wars, you could see why the Defense Department has raided our stockpiles. And even more so, on top of all that, there's only so much silver in the Earth's crust. And I'm not going to say, and on top of that, even though I just did, silver's a byproduct. It's found by accident. They look for gold, lead, zinc. They're not looking for silver. If they find silver, they'll take it, but they're not looking for it. There's very few primary silver mines, and the mines that we're trying to put up in the works get protested and shut down because it contaminates groundwater. And even more so, which I know it's crazy that I'm still going on other reasons, most silver that gets dug up is thrown away within a couple decades. Why? Because silver is mainly used for industry. So when it gets put in that car or laptop or cell phone or the thousands upon thousands of different uses that silver has, it's thrown away in a landfill, never to be recycled. Whereas gold is always recycled because gold is used for coins and bars and jewelry and necklaces. And then those get pawned, especially since gold's more valuable. You're more prone to go, pawn your grandma's jewelry or whatever, even recycle gold out of cell phones like I used to do. Because gold is 90 times more valuable. Nobody's going to pawn a necklace for $2 from their grandma's jewelry or, whatever she hands down, or recycling silver. It's not worth it. So even when there's a silver shortage, even though it's a byproduct, most silver that gets dug up is also being thrown away when gold keeps getting recycled and rescrapped and reused. That's the problem we're dealing with, folks. And that's the problem. These problems are extremely overlooked within the common everyday person that tries to throw their 2 cents in about the silver shortage, because they usually don't do all of the research, or like I said before, if they do the homework, they're not getting the answers correctly, because I've been talking about this for years. So has Keith Neumeyer, so has Andy Schechtman, so has Ted Butler, so has David Morgan, a lot of different people. But now mainstream is catching on, and they're bringing up the correct points on what gives silver true value, the fundamentals, not just the micro, but the macro. Stronger industrial offtake is a principal catalyst for the rising global demand for the white metal, and it should hit a new annual high this year. Are they talking about breaking above $50? Because that would be insane. If silver breaks above $50, we would see $100 silver quickly after. No, it would not stay at $100. It would shoot up into overbought territory and then come back down. A lot of people would be buying silver all the way up to $100, not knowing that a correction needs to take place. And yes, a correction is correct, because if there's not building price stability, it's going to plummet, and usually lower than where it even started in the first place. Silver is used primarily for industrial purposes, commonly incorporated in automobiles, solar panels, jewelry, and electronics. We think silver will have a terrific year, especially in terms of demand. Michael Dorenzio, executive director of the Silver Institute, told CNBC. He expects silver prices to reach $30 per ounce, which would be a 10-year high. So silver, which is trading at $22.40 an ounce, last hit $30 in February 2013. Well, it actually hit $30 in February 2021. It was like $29, and that was from the Wall Street silver movement. I wish they would have pushed that year instead of 2013. But anyways, here's what usually happens with silver. It does move with gold, but it moves later. This is the point that most people miss, or they're not incorporating it in the correct perspective. What do I mean by that? Silver is gold's little brother. Silver always follows suit, but silver is a much, much smaller market, so it gets affected to higher degrees. That's why I call silver gold on steroids. When people try to say or use that term, they're not using it in the correct manner. What do I mean by that? They think gold on steroids because silver outperforms gold. Like on steroids, you're stronger than the normal person, even someone that does work out. But steroids has negative side effects. Silver also hits lower lows. It's more dangerous as well. If gold's going to rise 10%, silver will rise 15%. But if gold drops 10%, silver will drop 15%. It's gold on steroids because it also has negative side effects. Most people that use that term, which I came up with that term, by the way, and I could confidently say that years and years ago. I'm not saying that everyone got it from me. I'm just saying I've been using that term. Some people say gold's little brother. There's lots of different terms. But regardless, that is the reality. So since they're mentioning that silver lags behind gold but moves later is correct. And now that gold is sitting at all-time highs, we know that silver is going to start following gold. And to a pretty high degree, because remember what I said, higher highs. Well, gold is at all-time highs right now. Within the 5,000 years, we've been using gold and silver as a form of trade or exchange or currency. This is the highest price gold has ever been. So that's why you should not be buying gold right now. You don't want to buy something when it's the most expensive, priciest it's ever been throughout history. You want to get in before the curve. Buy low, sell high. Don't buy high, hope it goes higher. That's gambling. Investors make strategic decisions based off information, and the information given shows that silver has a lot more potential and opportunity than gold. Not saying that gold isn't a great investment. It is. It's a great store of wealth, but my name is Silver Slayer for a reason, not Gold Guy. So the Institute sees a 9% climb in demand for silverware and a 6% rise in jewelry demand this year, with India expected to drive the jump in jewelry purchases. A projected recovery in consumer electronics is also poised to give the silver market an additional boost, the report stated. So with that said, the Silver Institute noted that in the short term, a slowing Chinese economy and decreased odds of U.S. interest rate cuts early in the year could present a headwind for silver institutional investment. However, the tides could turn in the second half of 2024 when most market watchers believe that the U.S. Federal Reserve will start cutting rates. And they missed a huge point that I see looking at the next paragraph they didn't even mention. What happens in November? What happens in November of 2024? The U.S. presidential election. What is that going to do to the economy? Cause economic turmoil, people not trusting governments, chaos, controversy, fear, uncertainty, doubt, everything that pushes silver higher when those situations are currently going on in the world. This is a perfect storm for silver. It's called a safe haven asset for a reason, because in times of uncertainty, people turn towards safe havens when they don't trust the government. So on top of all this that they're mentioning, that's also going to happen in the second half of the year. Silver prices, like gold, tend to have an inverse relationship with interest rates. That they mean a negative correlation. When the dollar index is higher, gold and silver is lower, and vice versa. Higher interest rate environment hurts demand for silver and gold, as precious metals do not pay interest, making them less appealing compared to alternative investments like bonds. So outperforming gold, silver carries the ignominious title of being gold's poorer cousin. What a word. Ignominious, yeah. So The poorer cousin. I really do not like that. It should be the cheaper cousin, or like my interview with Robert Kiyosaki, the famous author that wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which, yes, I was a special guest on his podcast with over 3 million subscribers a couple of years ago. You can go type in my episode with him. It's just him and I talking about silver. But the title of the interview I was in, he titled it "The Number One Asset That Everyone Can Afford." I thought that was a genius title, and I'm so lucky that the coolest title he has on his videos, or that I've probably ever heard, was the episode with me in it. And has like 800,000 views now. I still get emails from people almost on a daily basis saying, "Hey, I saw your episode with Robert Kiyosaki. I'm interested in silver now." I'll shut up though. That's not the point. But the point is that saying it's gold's poor cousin compared to the number one asset everyone can afford is definitely looking at two sides of the coin, pun intended. But the two share a positive correlation when it comes to prices, with a lag. Here's what usually happens with silver. It does move with gold, but it moves later. That's a good point. Due to silver's extensive industrial applications, its performance is tied closely to the health of the overall economy or the business cycle. And since its performance is tied to the health of the overall economy, and we know what the rest of the year is going to bring, especially with the 2024 election controversy and rioting, what do you think that's going to do to the price of silver? In contrast, gold prices usually rise during times of economic weakness or uncertainty. Silver does both. It's the best of both worlds. And there's more. There's more to the story than even just looking at all this, which I'm reading over quickly, just skimming through. There's a lot of other reasons as well that are very strong reasons, not just me trying to pull strings or grab for something that kind of fits, kind of relates to the situation. I'm talking about some other very strong points of what makes silver valuable. So in that vein, silver is more sensitive to economic changes and more volatile than gold. It tends to outperform the yellow metal during periods of strong economic expansion, but underperforms when there's economic stress. I can't agree with that too much. And if they say, see, here's the thing, and they should bring more context to this. When they say underperforms when there's economic stress, they're meaning because silver is an industrial metal. So when the economy is hurting, the amount of silver used, since it's industrial, and if the economy is hurting, the industry slows down, then silver isn't needed as much. You can see where that's going. But silver also moves in tandem. And with economic stress, silver does also rise. It doesn't underperform. Just gold is the safer investment at that time. It just holds its value. And then you'll see silver pick up later. And I do firmly believe that silver will take on a life of its own. Regardless of what gold's doing, silver is going to do its own thing. Because the reasons that silver is valuable, gold has no place there. Gold is not used for technology. Some is. Remember, I used to scrap gold out of laptops and cell phones myself. Gold is in there, but nowhere near the amount of silver. So when we're talking about a silver shortage, there is no gold shortage. Gold is recycled and re-scrapped. There's a silver shortage where there's record-breaking silver supply deficits. And that's where silver's value is. Low supply, high demand shoots the price up. Low supply, there's a low supply, actually record-breaking low supplies, and rising demand. We know that silver's demand is going to be rising over the next 5 to 10 years as EVs boom and solar panels boom and all these AI chips boom, shoots the price up. And there's a direct correlation between silver demand and the price. And since we know demand is going to be rising over the next 10 years, what does that tell us about the price? It's going to be rising. It's not rocket science, but silver is used in rockets. Anyways, though, on a serious note, gold will shoot up first, and then you'll see silver take off rapidly. What's happening? Gold shot up. So what are they saying is going to happen? Silver is going to take off rapidly. And silver always outperforms gold. It's just late. And the late part is where people give up. And that said Smallwood, and that's adding that a $50 mark for silver is possible, but only after gold moves through 2,200. And right now it's at $2,034. So Silver Institute's Dorenzio echoed similar sentiments. Silver indeed could outperform gold, especially when Fed begins to ease rates. So, yeah, you heard it here first, folks. I don't even have to mention anymore how valuable silver is because I just went over that for the last 20 minutes. But if someone that you know might not understand why you are buying silver, show them this video, and if they still are doubtful at the end, tell them to never invest a single dollar in their life, because that means they don't understand the value of a dollar, or even more importantly, they don't understand the value of silver. And that's dangerous. So, I mean, this video, I just went over 20 minutes worth of point after point after point after point. So, I mean, this is obvious stuff. Remember, investors make strategic decisions based off information. This information shows us that silver has value. When you're investing into something, you're investing into it, where it's headed, not where it's at. Like Andy Schectman says, price is the greatest tool of misdirection. People look at silver's price right now and say, oh, it's $22.30. Exactly. You get in before the curve. Just like I was screaming at people to buy Bitcoin when it was $800. But guess when most people bought Bitcoin? When it was $60,000. You could go find videos of me on YouTube in 2016 when I'm sitting on Coinbase telling people when you see Coinbase's price of Bitcoin, it says $800 on the screen. And you know, back then, that's when I got the most hate on my channel, was when I was telling people to buy Bitcoin at $800. Everyone thought I was, just talking stupid and didn't know what I was talking about. I was in before the curve. And now all those people are going back wishing, instead of hating on me, they would have listened to me instead of buying it after they already saw the validation and confirmation that it can go up. Same thing as for silver. It's undervalued. You don't wait until it explodes. That's gambling. Investors make strategic decisions. Gamblers throw money at the wall and pray it sticks. That's not investing, that's gambling. The odds are highly against them. Investors tweak the odds in our favor. So anyways, yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you subscribe, because I do this on a daily basis. And if you wanted to purchase silver, I got you guys. 100-ounce bars, $1.39 over spot. Look at that. Here, these are 100-ounce bars right in front of you. I can give you these, I think, exact bars for $1.39 over spot price. Where can you find that? You can almost buy 100 ounces of silver at spot price, where everywhere else spot price is $5, $6, $7. You can get this for basically spot. Also have other deals as well, though. Maple Leafs $3.75 over spot. Lots of other stuff. I'll shut up, though. Slayer@milesfranklin.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.